Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I know it's kind of an irregular experience anymore. Recently I just haven't had a lot to update on, haven't had a lot of big projects, and I still don't have any big projects going on. I just scored a impromptu vintage Lego buy. After last video, I got to thinking about the old adventure sets. It got me kind of nostalgic, so I found this group of 3 sets online, and I've got one from basically all of the different adventures themes that I remember growing up. So you have the desert, the jungle, and the Dino Island. And I just kind of wanted to do a little building therapy session. I don't really have any rhyme or reason for this. Like I said, it was just kind of a nostalgia purchase. So I'm just going to kind of zone out, and I'm just going to kind of build for a little bit just to have a little therapy. You know, sometimes it's easy to, overthink these projects and forget that Lego is really just meant as a hobby to help relax. And that's what I want to do today. It's been a week, and right now I just want to have a little Lego therapy. So I figured I'd let you guys watch the builds as I go along. But really, I'm just doing this for me, just to kind of get back in touch with enjoying the hobby a little bit. And then from there, maybe we'll find some more projects we can take on that'll be a little more interesting. But I figure I'm just going to build these in order, a theme. I'm going to start with the Scorpion Tracker, even though I already had one of these sets. For the most part anyway, I've bought and sold a lot of these over the years. And I had enough pieces in my bin to build one that was kind of like the original, but didn't have that correct color grill. And since it came with these other 2 sets, I figured, what the heck, I can add another Scorpion Tracker. One can never have too many of these little things. It was always one of the better builds, in my opinion. It was simple, it was little, but it was just about perfect. So, and it's, like I said, these sets are just so simple. I don't think there's more than like 35 pieces, and sometimes I miss the simplicity of old Lego, just Lego in general. Everything's has to be so accurate now, so complicated, and sometimes you just wanted something simple that was good enough of an example or a good enough interpretation, and still looked like genuine Lego, like the regular thing. Like anymore, I think people try and hide the fact that these are Lego bricks and want to make more of a model, and that's, to me, not really the point of Legos. You're supposed to use your imagination, and your imagination's supposed to fill in the gaps what the bricks can't. Just nice and simple. Yeah, I said I'm already most of the way done with this. Nothing to it. I probably grossly overpaid for this. I think by the time shipping was all said and done, I think it was averaging out like about $20 a set, which, nostalgia is a heck of a drug, isn't it? What we're willing to pay and overpay for to maybe recapture a little bit of lost childhood or whatnot. See, the tire's a little loosey-goosey on this. I might have to swap it out for something else in my bucket. Maybe later. Old Johnny Thunder. I remember I loved these sets growing up as a kid. I loved the whole Indiana Jones, Johnny Thunder, like anything where it was a sense of adventure. Treasure finding, the whole thing. I was obsessed with it as a kid. I still kind of am to an extent. Maybe not the treasure aspect of it, but just getting to travel and see new places and far off excursions. That's really all I want to do these days. We would take a lot of trips, my wife and I, and it's just, I don't know, I just love going to new places, exploring new things. If I had the choice, I wouldn't work I suppose a lot of us wouldn't, but I would just travel around. And I think that's why I started my second channel focusing on travel, because it's become such a big part of my life. And I suppose I have these little guys to thank for that, you know. I never did quite lose my love for Johnny Thunder. In fact, I got it in my pocket here. Johnny adorns every one of my key rings. This one's kind of been through the ringer, but I've got literally one for every car, every bike I own. It just is kind of like a little reminder to never forget to be an adventurer. You know, and that's, I could probably have stock in these little guys. This is probably my least mint one. His hat's a little bent, and his torso is getting a little faded from banging around in my pocket, but I've got one hanging up in my truck. I've got one on my bike. I got one on my other car. I don't know, just something about this line sparked a lot of interest in me as a kid, and I just never quite fell out of love with it. So there's our little scorpion tracker. Whoops. There, don't forget your shovel, bud. Again, just such a simple set, but at the same time, it's such a good set. I love it so much. Now what do we have next? I will admit, the jungle adventures weren't exactly ever my favorite. I think it's because they never really, the vehicles were so good with the desert series, and they just never quite topped that. And I don't know, maybe I was just more of an Egypt fan. I was always into Egyptology growing up, Sphinx and all that kind of stuff. So maybe I was just biased in a certain way. This one doesn't come with Johnny. This one comes with Harry Kane. Old pilot Harry Kane. I think it was the same overseas. If you're from the UK or something, chime in on this. But I remember certain characters had different names. Like over here, we had Harry Kane, we had Johnny Thunder, Baron Von Baron, Sam Sinister, which if I remember correctly, who we call Baron was called Sam Sinister over there, and then they had some other name for the Sam Sinister character. And then Johnny's cohorts, we had Gale Storm and Dr. Charles Lightning, and I have no idea what they called them across the pond. I do remember they had other names for it, but that's who they are to me. So we got little Harry Kane. He wasn't special enough to get a secondary name. Or maybe he was special. He was just as special as Johnny. Give him his little dynamite brick. Toss these out to the side. We don't need those where we're going. I've never actually built this set. I remember my brother had this kit growing up because he was more into the Jungle Adventures line than I was. So he had a couple of those sets. And then my younger siblings were more into the Dino Island. And then for some reason, none of us really got into the Orient Expedition. I think I had one set from that line. It didn't really do a whole lot for me. They were trying something, I think, with that. And I don't know, I guess I didn't feel it as much. Or maybe I was outgrowing parts of it at that time. Who knows? That is not the correct piece for that. But it works. So I don't care. It's going to work. Oh! Brilliant. There it is. You ever have that where you think you got shorted a piece? I don't care if it's a new set you bought or an old set, and then you just end up finding it. It's just hiding from you. Happens a lot to me. Like I said, there's just something so simple about these sets. It's nice to just kind of get back to the basics of just throwing a neat little kit together, just to kind of blow off some steam. What do we got next? Throw these little guys on here. Where's my other one? There it is. Perfect. Now we got to build the pontoons. which if I remember right, I don't think these ever stayed on very well. You know, there was always certain elements, because these builds were so simple back in the day, like there was always the weak point, like the thing that would always fall off because there was only like one point of contact holding it up. Kids today, I swear, they're just so spoiled with all these fancy new sets. You know, I could sound like one of those old men. Kids today never understood how we had to use our imaginations, make illegal building techniques like we did. I'm just glad people still enjoy the hobby. You know, it's weird, like so many things go in and out of vogue these days. To have such a constant, like the way the Lego hobby's been over the years, you know, so many different generations of people have come together and enjoyed it. It's super rare that something like that has had so much staying power throughout the years. It works in my favor because, you know, it makes my hobby seem less dorky. Unlike all the model railroad fans and stuff who have to try and justify their hobby, you know, having something that's everybody seems to enjoy makes it a whole lot easier to justify. Like, and you shouldn't have to justify your hobbies. I'm just saying, when it's popular, a lot more people tend to understand why you're into certain things than if it isn't. But I would still be building regardless if this was popular or not, and I'm sure I can speak for most of you out there, probably be the same way. Because that's why you're watching this channel, I suppose. Or for a variety of other reasons. Maybe you just want to see me do something more with the initial D, and I really wish I could. I don't know. I kind of feel like I've been there, done that. I want to move on to something else. That's kind of where I get. I'll go really hard on something for a while. Then my interest will shift and I'll change it a little bit. And then I'll get really obsessed with something else. I have this idea in my head right now. I'd love to do like a garden railway of some kind with Lego, or even just maybe a little railway diorama in general. I picked up this set, and I don't know when it will ship out, a while ago from the Bricklink designer program. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that. And they had that little train set. And for some reason, it just kind of spoke to me. And so I ordered that back in May, I believe. And they're still obviously getting everything all sorted for that. But hopefully I'll have that soon, and I'll definitely I'm sure I'll make a video on it at some point, because that's kind of a cool purchase. It didn't really sell all that well. Like, I was kind of surprised, to be honest. I figured, you know, trains are so popular amongst adult collectors, I figured it would have gone pretty quick. But a lot of people, I think, were less than impressed with the fact that the bridge it came with was the bridge was like the majority of the build. And I could see where a lot of people were like, well, if I'm going to spend my money, I want it to be a little more involved. Like, I want to have more of it go towards a train, which I think that's been a big complaint with a few different sets. Like, it just didn't come with enough stuff to justify the price. But for me, I kind of like the bridge. I could see ways I could improve it, you know, and maybe modify it and make a neat little layout around it. And I had some other ideas, and I'll see how far I get with those. Hey, buddy, you need to come off because I'm going to lose something. I just know it. Oh, knocked a tree over. I'm a little far back here. There we go. Hi, you want to sit and build with me? Yeah. I like having your company. You're a good bud. As long as you don't knock anything off, then you'll have to go. Come here. Oh, I know. You just want to get up there. You just stay here. Good boy. Oh, this is my Joe. He's my little cat. We got a couple running around here. He just likes to be up where I'm at all times. It is his unredeeming quality, if for lack of a better term. He's a good boy, aren't you? Yeah. Pretty good boy. I think I had that right the first time. Oh well, I'll fix it. Buddy, you gotta go over here. I know, you think everybody wants to see you, but oh, you're clumsy with your big tail. You just sit. Chill. Chill, bro, chill. All right. Clack that over. We're gonna clock that over. Viola. You know, I don't know if anybody remembers, but sometimes old Lego instructions, they've done a lot better job, you know. They're so crystal clear now, but they weren't always that way. Sometimes they were a little hard to decipher. But, yeah, it's half the fun. We'll figure it out. Put that back where it needs to go. I'm curious, you know, for everybody who's still maybe watching this, what was some of your favorite sets growing up? Like, do you have any themes that you kind of stuck with over the years? Like, it seems like there's a certain niche for vintage Lego collecting. Like, so many people I see who are fans of the hobby now they're fans of the big stuff, the new stuff, like the modulars and all that stuff. And I totally get that, because the modulars are fantastic sets. I'm just curious if anybody latched onto a particular theme, you know, Castle, Time Bandits, stuff like that, Aqua Raiders, City. I've had some nostalgic City stuff before, and I always liked the vintage City, like that circa 1990 through 96, I feel like was peak City to me. Here you go, Harry. Up. Set you down on the stick. That sounded bad. There you go. Perfect. Woohoo. Little pontoon plane. Nifty. Kind of out of proportion. I always thought this was a little out of proportion for the character, but it's still kind of neat. All right, last one up. And probably my favorite car of all time out of all the adventures. For some reason, the Island Racer was one of the sweetest adventurers cars. And it had one of the most unique pieces. I don't even know if they've ever bothered to replicate this anywhere else. Like this triple hump. I don't recall really seeing this. Maybe it was the clock piece that they used at some point, but I don't recall really ever seeing this piece. It's such a unique element, and I don't think they really ever did much with it. I don't know. But we got the Baron. Baron von Baron. He's got his little racing goggles and his little hook hand. Yeah. All right. Let's put this last one together. I saw somebody on Rebrickable did a remake of this, like to be more accurate, more Speed Champions worthy, and I'd kind of like to find the parts and try the build out because it looked really good. It looked like an old, I want to say like an Alfa Romeo type, and I'm pretty sure that's kind of what this was based on. It was like a 1918 Alfa Romeo or something like that. I was like, that looks really good. Maybe I'll have to try it out someday. You know, maybe since that train I picked up is kind of from a similar era, maybe we could try and make like an adventurer's theme. Oh yeah, I always remember like you had to kind of figure out the way you wanted these little pieces here, because they never quite sat in there correctly. They always were kind of loose, and they'd go, I was always OCD trying to get them to line up just perfectly straight. And they never quite did. And so sometimes I'd angle them, make them look like, exhaust or something like that. But I'd try my best, and I'm going to try here to see if they'll stick. If they don't, that's fine. That's fine. Oh boy. Okay, throw these on. Sometimes it's just kind of nice just to have like a little afternoon project. Like, this isn't going to take forever. I'll be done with this here a few minutes probably, but it's just enough to unwind. And that's why I wanted to do it to begin with. We're just unwinding today. Kind of letting the week melt away. Feels good. Pop our little... I have the instructions out like I actually needed them. I could have probably put this together in my sleep. I put this together so many times. This is the one set that I've sold. I wish I would have never parted with, because I loved this thing. I probably still had the pieces to put it together somewhere, but I found this, and why not? Putting the wheels on is always the best part. That's why I save it for last, because then it becomes a car. Here, bud. Put you in here. You can steer with your hook, and I'm going to put the gun in your hand for some reason. All right, pop you in. Voila. Got your little 6-shooter on. Look at him go. I mean, tell me that's not the sportiest thing that they ever came out with for that line. It's so low. Like, look at the difference here. It's so low. So good. Well, if you're still here at this point, just because you wanted to see how it all went, here we go. All of our 3 little mini builds are complete. Just a nice little nostalgia trip. But I'll have to update you guys once some new stuff starts rolling in. But till then, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Take care.